It's me again, Amanda Enderman, your trusty tour guide in the wonders of the wonderful city, also known as Rio de Janeiro, bringing you yet another video of the series Places in Rio, and here we are in what is Brazil's World War II memorial.
Wait, Brazil was in World War II?
Yes, and this is precisely what I'm going to be talking about in this very video. Though in this video I'm going to focus more on the monument itself, because I will speak in more detail about Brazil's participation in World War II when I get to this topic in the series Rio the History, so stay tuned. However, you will hear a little bit about it naturally because this monument is in honor of that. But before I get right on to the theme of the video, I have to remind you that I'm currently offering walking tours through the city of Rio, and all of them are described on my website, which the link will be in the description box below, as well as in the first fixed comment. So all you have to do is click there, text me via WhatsApp, and let's get to know the city of Rio in person, folks! With me, your trusty tour guide, of course. Before I get onto the actual historic bit, which I'm sure, just like me, is the one you're always looking forward to, I have to tell you, of course, how you get here. Because naturally, when you're here, you're going to want to see this wonder yourselves. There are several options, in fact, when it comes to this particular place. You can either take a taxi or an Uber from wherever you are in Rio and just tell the driver to bring you here. And the most common name in Portuguese for this monument is Monumento dos Pracinhas, so you say that to the driver and he'll know what you mean, or you can say that one in Aterro. And by the way, I have made a video about Aterro do Flamengo also in this series, which I will leave the link for you in the cards above in case you would like to see. Once again, I got you covered. So other than that, another option is for you to take the subway, which I have also made a video about the subway in this very series, and I will leave the link as well, because of course there are those of you who have never taken the subway in Rio or have never taken the subway anywhere. Once again, I've got you covered. That's the kind of person I am. Anyways, you take the subway from the closest to wherever you are in Rio, then you get off at Cinelândia, and from Cinelândia you can either walk here, and it's very close by to the monument, and you can't go wrong. All you have to do is look for that big T shape over there, which I will speak about it in more detail in just a little while. Or you can take the VLT from Cinelândia, and then you take line 1 in the direction of the STU airport, Santos Dumont, because the STU airport on this line is the last stop. So you'll get off there and you'll walk from the STU airport all the way here. Once again, making sure to look for the T-shaped structure over there. It's always the reference of this monument. And last but definitely not least, when it comes to this particular place, I've once again got you covered, because one of the tours I'm offering is the Newborn Republic tour, and the end of this tour is precisely with a visit to the monument, complete with all the historic explanations that you could possibly want. Doesn't get any better than this, does it? For this tour, all you have to do is schedule a tour with me, of course, and then you'll take the subway and meet me at the starting point of the tour, which is right out of the Largo do Machado station. Now that you know how to get here, let's get right on to the historic bit, which is the more fun one. Speaking about the T-shaped structure, which I have been repeating over and over again, I know, that is actually a representation of two hands pointing to the sky. Some say that they're asking for grace or mercy, and some say that they're asking for peace. However, at the bottom of the monument is the tomb of the unknown soldier. And yes, all over the world there are tombs that pay homage to the unknown soldier, and ours is right over there. And also, the reason why it's over there is because in 1960, when the monument was completed, there was a formal procession with the remains of the dead soldiers from World War II, the Brazilian ones, that is, that came through the Rio Branco Avenue all the way here. And the president back then, in 1960, was Juscelino Kubitschek. So he received one of the urns of an unidentified soldier, which he placed right over there, and it has been there ever since. And there is also the sentence, from Brazil to its unknown soldier. Furthermore, in this outside part of the monument is also that sculpture over there with those three little men representing the three armed forces, the Air Force, the Army, and the Navy, which take turns guarding the monument. So every month there is the ceremony of the changing of the guard, which is very good for pictures and videos and such. So if you happen to be walking by and you see it, be sure to do so. Only videos like the one I'm doing require permission, but for pictures or for simple videos like filming the ceremonies, no problem. Here we are in the interior garden of the monument, and when you do get here, please don't step on the grass. I'm here exceptionally because I'm filming, but when you're here, please do see this from just there outside. You'll be able to take pictures all you like. We have a symbolic representation of what actually was the campaign of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force during World War II. And here, these two blue lines represent the rivers Serchio and the river Rhine, which were the rivers in which Brazil most fought its battles. Basically, what we were tasked with was liberating the Italian front, as you can see. And here, these triangles have written each of the main battles fought by Brazil during World War II. The most famous of which, of course, is the Battle of Monte Castelo, which is right here in front. But the most curious of all are these symbols over here, which were used by each of the armed forces at the time. So let's begin by the more straightforward one, which is the symbol of the Navy. As you can see there, an anchor. Worldwide, whenever you think of the Navy, what do you think of? Anchors or sails or ships or that kind of thing. So it's very straightforward, no fuss. Other than that, we have this symbol over here of this very angry bird. Before the Angry Birds game, this was the original Angry Bird. After all, he's going to war, so it's not the time to be calm. And also we have this sentence here which says Senta a pua. And this was a slang from the time which translates to let them have at it, give them hell, or something like that. And how do I know? Because I asked my grandpa, which not only lived at the time but also was in the Brazilian Expeditionary Force, that is the Army, not the Air Force. And here I give you a picture of him at the time. Grandpa was in the Brazilian Expeditionary Force, in the Army. So, following in the symbols, we have the symbol of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force, the most famous of them all, which is, as you can see, a snake smoking.
But Linda, why a snake smoking? Why of all symbols would they pick that?
The thing is that Brazil actually joined in the war effort very late in the war, towards the end. And because of this, the other countries in the world would mock Brazil by saying that it was easier for a snake to smoke than for Brazil to get in the war and actually fight. So we answered by putting that symbol over there in all of the soldiers' uniforms as if to send a message.
Oh, you said that it was easier for a snake to smoke than for us to get in the war. Well, here we are. The snake is smoking.
Of course, the original symbol is far more elaborate. It was drawn by Walt Disney himself as a present to Getúlio Vargas as part of the Good Neighbors policy, which had been established in 1941 between Brazil and the US. And here is a picture of the original drawing by Walt Disney. The snake is far more expressive, and it's got its cigarette, but also two guns, and it's got a face like, I'm gonna kill them, because once again, he's going to war, not the time to be zen. So folks, here we are at the actual exhibit room of the monument. And here you'll be able to find on display a lot of objects belonging not only to Brazilian soldiers, but also to enemy soldiers, or I guess I should say German soldiers. A lot of people, curiously, have asked me also which side Brazil was on during World War II. It should be pretty obvious, but just in case you don't know, we were on the Allied side. fighting against the Germans. So here you will also find a German helmet, German marks, as well as a booklet of instructions for the German soldier in German, obviously. For those of you who might be watching the video who are students or are researching about World War II for college or for work or for anything you might want to research for, this is the perfect place actually, because right over there are several books with wonderful illustrations from the time and from the military campaign, and with texts as well. And here there are 2 couches also, as you can see, and air conditioning, of course. So you can sit here as long as the monument is open, which normally is from Tuesday to Sunday from 9 to 5. So you can stay here all day if you like, taking notes, studying, and etc. Just don't take any books from there with you, please. But if you would like to take something of the monument with you, right on the entrance of the exhibit room, we have these flyers over here, which are in English as well as in Portuguese, that explain everything. They have this more summarized version, and also they have a more detailed version. Also, I guess I might as well explain how this monument was built to begin with. So it was the idea of the General Mascarenhas de Moraes, who was the head of the campaign in World War II. Back then, in the end of World War II, we didn't have a cemetery here specific for those who died in the war. The Brazilian soldiers were buried at the cemetery in Pistoia, in Italy. And as a matter of fact, the Italians there pay homage to us every year by singing the anthem of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force, which the beginning you have heard in the introduction of this video. And I will leave a link for you of the full anthem in the description box. I highly recommend that you click there and listen to it, because it is really one of those military songs that makes your heart glow. So they were brought here, and this is why this whole thing was made. This allegory over here is perhaps what most stands out in the exhibit room of the monument, which basically depicts the entire sequence, not only of Brazil participating in World War II, but the sequence of any war, I should say, anywhere in the world. It always works the way it is depicted over here. Firstly, we can see this monstrous figure over here above, which represents the rise of fascism and Nazism. But not only that, it also represents the moment in which Germany shot and sunk our submarines and thus provoked Brazil into entering the war. And in response to this monstrous figure above, there's this crowd over here, horrified and asking, "Oh my God, someone please destroy the monster." And so in answer to that, here go our troops to war in order precisely to defeat the monster. And you can see over here that they are pointing their guns precisely at the monster, because it's him that we are fighting. And we have this woman here with a veil representing the war doctors as well as the war nurses. This is why she is holding a fallen soldier. Let's not forget, a lot of people ignore the participation of doctors and nurses in war, but it's just as essential as the participation of the soldiers themselves. Continuing on, we have won the war over here. So here are our brave soldiers coming back home and being received by the motherland, here represented by this woman and this child. Because they're not only being received by the motherland with open arms, they are also being received by their families as well. Furthermore, these over here, in kind of a copper color, are soldiers taking back the work posts that they left in order to fight in the war. Because you see, here in Brazil, fortunately, there wasn't bombing or destruction of entire cities and such, as it was the case with Europe. So here, it wasn't about rebuilding, but it was about picking up where we left off. This is what the soldiers are doing right over here. Last but definitely not least, we have the same crowd over there from the beginning, but they are no longer horrified or scared or anything like that. No, they are celebrating with Brazilian flags because after all, we won the war. And remember the monster from the beginning? He has also been substituted, after all, he's already long gone, by this female figure over here, which represents peace, victory, hope, and all good things in life. Here we are at the underground of the monument, where the actual mausoleum is. And you may be noticing that even my tone has changed, because it really is quite the contrast. While above, we are constantly reminded that Brazil fought the war and won the war, here we are reminded that even though we won the war, that victory comes with a price. And this price were 468 dead soldiers, and here are their graves in alphabetical order by their names, of course. And in every grave is the name of the soldier and the post that he occupied at the time, except for these 13 first ones, which are graves of unidentified soldiers. Here, since they are unidentified soldiers, in every grave it is written the same thing. Here lies a hero of the Brazilian Expeditionary Force. God knows his name. Here I am in front of this homage made to the monument by CONIB and FIEG. They are two institutions which look after the Jewish population in Brazil, in the case of CONIB, and in Rio, in the case of FIEG. And the reason why I'm here is because we cannot forget that whenever we talk about World War II, the ones that most benefited from the end of this terrible period in human history were the Jews. So I bring you now one of the many stories of Italian non-Jews who helped Jews to survive during this time. Because, my friends, even I didn't know this before I was researching in order to film this video. But Italy was actually the country with the most survivors among Jews in all of Europe. One of the many stories is that there were a group of Jews who were originally from the city of Turin, and they took refuge in the small town of Piea, which is also in the region of Piemonte. They obviously had false documents with them, but also they took the extra step of behaving like the local Catholic population, because let's not forget, Italy to this day, even though there are quite a few Jews there, is, just like Brazil, a very Christian and especially Catholic country. So they lived there like this for 2 years, roughly, and when the war was over, they finally decided to reveal who they actually were to the local population and thank them, of course, for their hospitality, because after all of them survived. And let's not forget, whoever helped Jews was also at risk at the time. And the Nazis were constantly patrolling this area in search of partigiani, defectors, and of course, Jews. But to their surprise, when they told the people of Piea who they actually were, the people of Piea answered, "Oh, we already knew from the beginning that you were Jews." And they were like, "But if you knew, how come you never told anything? Your own lives were at risk by doing this." To which they simply responded, "Well, you are human, just as we are." This concludes this video about the monument in honor of the Brazilian dead of World War II, and I hope you liked the video. And if you did like the video, be sure to hit that like button, then right after that hit that subscribe button, and most important of all, share this video with as many people as you possibly can, so that each time more people may know about the wonders of the wonderful city. And as usual on this channel, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!